What's up, everyone? Live stream, international break, so everybody can calm down. We can calm down a little bit, no more stress for now. But time to reflect, guys. Time to talk about Ajax, time to talk about Kroes, who has started last week. And also, he gave an interview on Monday at Ziggo. And yeah, let's start with that, actually, because it's all about Kroes. He's our messiah right now. At least that's what we're hoping. Guys, let me first welcome you guys. Ajax, good to have you again. Luke, always good to have you. Yadorenko, you're like an enigma.
Not welcome.
Sometimes you're here, sometimes you're not, but when you're here, it's special. Always.
Okay.
All right. Good to have you as well. Guys, let's start off with the Kroes interview. We have a bunch of things to discuss. Of course, the viewers, if they want to ask us something, please do. I'll pick it up and let them know as well, and maybe they can answer one of the questions or maybe some of the things you want to share. Yadorenko, let me start with you, with the Kroes interview that he gave at Ziggo. Any particulars? What were your thoughts after the interview? Were you reassured? I know it's very short interview, but still, I want to ask you that question.
The things he said were in my alley, if you can say it like that.
Mm-hmm.
Because I totally agree. It results doesn't really matter in the coming season. What matters is that you find the right structure. You're going to find the right way of playing games. He sounded a bit like a fan in the beginning, but I actually think that is spot on, because in when you were at the Meer and when you entered the stadium, you were talking about, is it going to be 3-0, 4-0, 6-1, 7-1? What's it going to be? And they almost always started that way. So almost every opponent was afraid of Ajax in the Meer because they flew out of the cages. Let's say it that way. And that has been missing for decades now. But it has been a quality of Ajax. Besides the pressing, besides the fast technical gameplay. So I actually liked what he said. However, there's an old Ajax song which our biggest rival currently use as their song. But it's like that. Act on your words. So do the things you say. I think that's more important than what he says and how he says it. That he actually makes a decision a bit in the right direction, because there are a lot of decisions need to be made, and you cannot have every decision that's good right away. But at least begin with the bases that are good.
Yeah, absolutely. Luke, let me go to you. Interview of Kroes. What kind of feeling did he give you after the interview?
Very mixed. You know, I like Yadorenko said, I like the ideas, the way he said it, you know, about it needs to be exciting, attacking football at Ajax. It needs to be all of these things. And that's the kind of thing that draws you to Ajax. Or if you're an outsider that watches Ajax, you think Ajax of this, you know, they bring young players through and they play great attacking football, which we have historically. However, after Sven Mislintat and everything he said in his interviews, it's kind of like on the fence now, isn't it? And I don't want to go into the whole, was it Sven's fault? Was it, you know, all that kind of things. But now, like Yadorenko also said, you need to be able to act on these words. But he's definitely right in saying that you can't go spending stupid money on players when you don't have a manager that wants them. You know, because essentially who's going to manage the team is, if Kroes wants to be manager, he can go and manage it and buy the players he wants. And that's kind of where we was in a way with Mislintat and Stein. You can kind of feel there was no like same level ground no agreement as some of the players. So that right there is a problem right from the start. So I agree with what Yadorenko said on some of the things that Kroes said as well. And hopefully that he can act on it when we get to the summer and to the next season, because obviously we're not going to be able to go challenge straight away. So rebuild, we've got to start from scratch, and hopefully we can get some of the deadwood out that we brought in that aren't good for us, and then we can get Ajax quality players, technical players to come to our club.
Absolutely. Before going to you, Ajax, Finn is saying interviews are pointless. I listened to Sven convince me, and all the signings actions speak louder than words. Your thoughts on the interview, Ajax?
Yeah, what can you say? It's like a different approach than Mislintat, aka Mr. Solo, did. He made a lot of decisions on his own, and it turned out that the majority of those are bad ones. At least if we have to value them now. So I think it's very good that he wants to have a certain amount of, let me discuss it with a few people within the club and let us agree on it to choose a certain direction or for certain players or certain staff members. I think that's okay, but I think it's more the other side of the spectrum. If you compare what Mislintat did and you compare how Kroes came over to me in that interview, I think it should be somewhere more in between. So you have to value the opinions and you have to take certain things into account, but you also have to make some decisions on your own. You cannot do everything as a group. It sometimes frustrates certain processes also, because if one doesn't agree and the majority, for example, does, you get a lot of discussions and not too many actions will be made in the time that you could have made a lot of actions, So I think they should find some middle ground in this. Maybe if they vote and there's a majority or something, that makes more sense than that everybody always has to agree with everything. So he sounded to me like a fan. I like that because that he has heart for the club, and he's not only in it for the job, but actually sincerely wants his club to do well, and that is a plus for me, because like a Mislintat, it's a foreign guy. He has nothing with Ajax. It's just a job for him. Kroes is also almost a lifetime fan. I heard him say he was a fan from the age of 9. So this is a plus for me. What I didn't like about the interview is that he already between the lines stated that we could not compete for the title next season. I think that's a stupid thing to say, because as Ajax you should always try to compete for the title, or at least state you are competing for the title at the beginning of the season. I understand that the rebuild is necessary, but you do not know what will happen in the coming window, which players go out, which players come in. You do not know how many players of the competitors that are doing well are being sold. They maybe have to rebuild also. So it's for me too early to already between the lines state that maybe a championship shot next year isn't a thing for us. So
But
that is
Ajax,
something that's really worried me a bit.
But Ajax, isn't this just managing expectations?
Yeah, that could be, but it's too early now already to manage those expectations. Try to solve some problems first. You have a lot of ground to cover and a lot of time still before the new season hits, and you need to run. So let's just focus your energy on the things that need to happen. And I'm a firm believer of also, if you project something that you want and you have that and you repeat this in your mind over and over again, you work towards that end goal. And if he already has some doubt in his mind that the title shot isn't possible, you're projecting that to the near future. So I think you always have to try to achieve the best result possible, and maybe alter your course if something turns out to be not possible anymore, like this season. It's too early for that now.
I actually like it. I actually like it, what he does.
Okay.
But maybe that's me. If I look back at 2010, 2011, sure, the expectation were also low. We won 4 titles in a row. But it doesn't matter really if, for me, it doesn't really matter if they stayed in front of the season that Ajax will be a contender for the championship. What I care about is what I see on the green pitch. If they bring that attitude that he describes in the first sentence from the mirror, then it's fine with me, because then the title will come, or maybe next year or the year after, but then it will be going upwards. And I think for me, that's more important right now than saying we're going for the title, because we heard that from Mislintat, we heard that from Schreuder, we know that blah blah I don't like that blah blah.
But that's a bit
Just
of
prove it.
there's a bit of nuance in this thing I'm saying. I'm not saying that you have to state that you are going for the championship. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying it's way too early to cover your ground and saying that it will probably be difficult to go for a championship next season. That are two different things. I'm not saying that he needs to state we're going for the championship, but he shouldn't state that will be a difficult thing next season. Let's just work on the progress that is necessary. And if he did that only to cover towards certain fans and he does not believe in it, that he maybe does want to go for a championship, that is okay. But if his firm belief is it will be difficult for us, this is something that you project into the future and maybe also have in mind if you try to make certain deals. You should always go for the highest standard with coaches, with players that fit that criteria. And if you already in your mind accept that it will be difficult maybe next season, maybe you will go also for lower criteria players and managers because you think it will be good enough, in the gap year that we have. That is my view upon it. So I'm not saying state it, but definitely not state already it will be difficult because there's so many things to happen still before the next season hits.
I think also he's done it to back himself a little bit. Obviously, everyone's expected big things from him as soon as he's come in. But if he says, if he tries to squash his expectations really early, if he hires a manager that isn't so good, and then we struggle again, he doesn't look so bad because at the start of the season, he can say, well, I told you so, not to expect big things this season. So he's probably just saying it to help himself, to be honest, as well.
Yeah. Let me go to the comments quickly. Yeah, let me go to the comments quickly because there are some people asking and reacting to what you guys are saying. So let's just bring it up in a discussion. Ravish is saying, I agree with Jadarenko because everybody thought when Kroes started on March 15, the Messiahs came to Amsterdam. By managing the expectations, fans won't have a non-realistic hope. That's one. Then Lawrence is saying, the most important signing will be our new coach. We need to get the best possible option in, someone who's tactically strong. If we get that right, we will at least fight for the league. Papimento is saying, I'm with Ajax. Make sure you balance the team as much as you can after that we will see our chances. And then Ravish is asking you, Ajax, what if it won't be possible to create a competitive squad? He saw what happened the last couple of years. He might already know what the current state of Ajax is. So I get Kroes for saying that. And just one more.
You want me to react to that, or?
Yeah, just one more, just so we throw everything just at once. Finn is saying the championship is only realistic if we get the right manager and have signings that hit the ground running. And then Christian is saying, gentlemen, Ken Perez mentioned to a VE interview that in his view, Dick Schroeder is the ideal trainer for Ajax upcoming season. Do you agree with me that Perez needs to get a visit from the GGZ? Which is all right. How would you translate GGZ?
It's a public health organization.
Mental
asylum. Let me give Ajax room to react. I'm seeing people also going to the coach situation, which I will come to in a bit. Go ahead, Ajax.
Yeah, considering what Rafish is saying, he's saying like, what if it isn't possible to create or assemble a competitive squad? That's exactly what I explained just now. You do not know yet how the transfer window will go. Mislintat bought a lot of bad players. We can now judge, up until now. But he also sold some players really quite well that we thought was Deadwood, So you do not know what you will do with the players that you have now. Maybe you are able to sell them well, have a great window, and you are able to maybe assemble a competitive squad. Maybe you aren't able to assemble a competitive squad, but then judge after that window is done. It's way too early to already state one or the other, in my opinion. So I would steer away from that kind of statements because you do not know what will happen, what coach you will bring in, what your competitors will do in the upcoming transfer window. Maybe they get poached like we've been poached last season, So it's so many things to take into account that it's way too premature to already do a statement on this subject at all, in my opinion. Just steer away from it.
Yeah, can I throw something in it? And people, Luke, Jadarenko, you can react to that as well. Let's take for a moment where we're at right now in this season. I know we have 8 games left in the league, but right now, and I'm just going to round off that number because I don't know it from the top of my head. Right now, we're almost 30 points behind PSV. We're almost 20 points behind Feyenoord. Do you think, even if we get the right balance, restore the balance as much as possible this summer, and we get a decent coach, a good coach in, do you think in one season we can narrow that gap already? Realistic question from my side to you guys. Luke, go ahead.
I don't see why not. If you get someone that's able to have a good preseason as a coach, okay, good fundamentals, okay, knows what he wants, okay, then why not? Because we're not saying he needs to finish above them. You know, we're just saying, you know, we would like to finish above them, but can we close the gap? Absolutely we can, because this season has been atrocious. You know, we've been really bad. So if you can improve this team with a good coach, of course we'll close the gap. No problem.
You guys all agree with Luke?
I think it's you can see with PSV, although their fundament was better than ours now. You know, they had a great coach now. They did some great signings last season. They weren't the title contender last season. They weren't that great, just as us. But now they're cruising. They haven't lost a game. So I'm not saying we're on the same level, not at all. But if they can do it, why can we not improve significantly compared to what we are now? Because this is what Kroes and all the other guys want to do. We want to improve the situation significantly. Then let's just hope that our competitors in Feyenoord and PSV mainly, the traditional competitors, also weaken a little bit, because maybe their best players get poached. Then we have to improve a bit. If they weaken a bit, then the level of the ground's already leveled a bit. So it could be possible. I'm not excluding this option.
Yeah. Look, Kroes said a couple of other things. I'm going to just throw it in just to complete the whole interview. He said right from the bat, Jadarenko already mentioned that, and Ajax as well. You could hear from the start he was a fan. He used to go to the Meer. One of the things I liked about how he started was that you went to Ajax because of the feeling you got when you went there and you saw the games. It was always special, right? You saw young talents. We were always winning by big margins, but also other teams feared Ajax. You know, these kind of things, it throws me back at that time, because it hasn't been the case for a while. But after that, he said one of the first things he wants to do, he wants to accomplish, together, of course, with the Marijn Beuker and Kelvin de Lang, and also a little bit with Van Gaal and Danny Blind, is to restore calmness, tranquility, you know, back to the club. And one of the ways of doing that is to make aware everyone to be in a certain position, what's expected from them, basically, what's expected from them. And it will also start with the coach. So people are asking already thinking about who will be our next coach. Which coach is going to make Ajax again, in your view? Because we also got a comment from the previous game talk that we had, and somebody said, can you guys please react on the rumors of Graham Potter? So I'm just going to throw it here. Luke, you live in the UK. Let me go with you first. Potter, what's your view on him?
It's very hard to judge. It's very hard to judge Potter, because he impressed by getting a good result against Arsenal in the European competition. So everyone then saw, wow, who's this? I think it was at Östersund's. And then he gets his move to Brighton, and obviously goes to elsewhere, but he ends up at Brighton, and that's when he really shines. You know, they have their scouting network. He laid the foundations for De Zerbi to go in and do and improve Brighton for the better. The only problem with Potter is that the only big job he's had was Chelsea, who are known for sacking their managers for just walking wrong, right? So they will literally just, as soon as they had enough, you're gone. And it kind of shown that he doesn't know what to do when he's in the spotlight to an extent. And, you know, it was just a bit strange time for him at Chelsea. It's just really hard to judge. But based on what he did at Brighton, he knows what he wants to do. I just don't think he's the type of man with the type of personality to be at a top club. That's just my two.
Jadarenko, what's your view on Graham Potter? Here, Finn is saying, just quickly, Finn is saying, Potter will be destroyed by the media. He's so soft.
I agree.
I actually don't care about Potter.
In what sense do you mean that you don't care?
I don't think we need to have the superhero trainer or coach next
Oh,
season.
I think you're mistaking him with Harry Potter, the superhero. Not it's Graham Potter. Yeah, Dorenko.
No, I don't believe it. I don't believe in it. I would prefer an Ajax-minded coach. That's
Like
all.
whom? Like whom? Give me a name.
Don't care. Don't care.
Okay, John van Schip.
No, he's not Ajax-minded. He played at Ajax. He loves Ajax, but he's not Ajax-minded
Oh,
because
then
all the
explain.
tactical decisions he makes
Yeah.
are not Ajax-minded.
What about? I'm just throwing names here. What about Wim Jonk?
Yeah, I don't think he's a great coach, but he is Ajax-minded, so I wouldn't mind. And I know there are a lot of fans.
Frank de Boer?
Frank de Boer, Fred Grim.
Yeah, sure. And Frank de Boer, hold on. Frank de Boer doesn't have the Ajax playing style, but he did show that he can work without a budget. And I think the most important thing right now is to get back to that budget building phase and team building phase and building on the youth academy, and then grow with it, buy the stadium so you can grow for the future. And then you can buy here and there players. I don't believe in selling players and buying a lot of big players right now, because you need to be solid. You need to have a financial basis.
Yeah, Ravish is asking you, Jodrenko, in your opinion, what is Ajax-minded?
Ajax-minded is that on an intention on how to play the game, your intention on tactics is always pressing forward, making goals. Like Cruyff once said, there's only one ball, you want to have it. That mentality needs to be in everything. And that's quite a while ago since we saw that. I believe 2019, maybe even in 2020 sometimes, but it has been going away because they've decided to go more for the results and more for the bigger players, buying, which hasn't worked, to be frank.
Would you categorize Peter Bos as Ajax-minded? Arne Slot Ajax-minded?
And Arne Slot, not really. Maybe he could do it. I don't know, but I don't see the Ajax football at Feyenoord, to be honest. I do see the pressing with Bos, but he is not playing the Ajax football that he played back in 2017 with Ajax, with PSV. They're more on the counter-attack as they were back then, in my opinion.
When you say playing, pressing all the time and it needs to be installed and everything, you do mean within reason, right? Like certain situations, because football changes all the time. I'm not gonna, you know this, you're not stupid, but you do mean like you don't want their coach to go out and even in the 80th minute, winning 3-0, go and press like crazy, or winning 1-0 in the last 10 minutes. You do want a coach that knows when it's time to hold the ball, keep it, and not go crazy.
Sure, but I also don't want a coach that in the last 10 minutes subs his midfielders and attackers and throws only defenders into the team. I don't want that, because then you're going to impose the team with something they're not used to. You're getting them out of their comfort, and you're going to play a game which you're not used to.
I understand, but that's what training's for, right? You train different systems, you train different situations and scenarios. So actually, personally, if we were winning 1-0 against PSV in the Becker final, for example, and we got 4 at the back, I wouldn't mind if in the last 10 a defender gets thrown on to make 5 at the back just to see the game out. It's situational, isn't it? I'm not saying go out in the last 25 and put another defender on.
Yeah, but we saw what happened. We saw what happened
with managing.
Yeah, we saw what happened with Spurs when we made those kind of.
The problem is that you have a defense where they play the whole season with 4, and all of a sudden there are 2 more players, and you get insecurity within the decision making, and that split second is huge on that high level. And I was surprised in the Spurs game that the goal didn't fall earlier, because it was just asking for trouble, in my opinion. And I don't want
Go
that.
ahead. Hold on,
I
guys.
rather
Yeah.
lose in a different way than in that way, to be honest.
No, I agree. Mine was an example of like different scenarios, different situations, and someone that's able to make a decision and be confident with it than someone who's just gonna, do something that doesn't make sense. That was just an example.
No, sure. You cannot attack 90 minutes and press 90 minutes, obviously. But you can have the intention to want the ball and to train on that and to get better on that. But Ajax mentioned van Schip like a pundit. But it's actually true. What do we see on the pitch that makes Schip an Ajax coach? Nothing, because he doesn't seem to train on pressing, on fast play over the ground. So it's nothing like the Ajax gameplay I would like to see.
All right, Ajax, you wanted to react, but I also
I've been holding back for
I know.
a long time. I wanted to touch upon the Frank de Boer bit from Jaderengo, and I wanted to touch upon the changing formations in certain situations.
Go ahead.
But first of all, let me touch upon the first part. I don't agree with Frank de Boer being the Ajax coach, and it will be possible maybe now, because what you're asking and what you're saying that he was praised for, in my opinion, isn't possible at the moment. Because if you look at the state of our youth academy, if you look at the difference between the level that is now within the league and also the last couple of years compared to what the level of our competitors was back then, it was the gap between the youth products that we had then was much smaller than we have now compared to the level that's in the league. So I do not agree that if he can work with small budgets, it's impossible anymore, I think, in this Ajax to work with that small of a budget and do the same things that he did back then, although it wasn't pretty. Because the level of PSV, Twente, AZ, Feyenoord, it's way better than it was back then, in my opinion. So it's difficult.
It was.
Are you the academy?
I'm not saying you have to play with all youth and you have to sell everyone from this team, because there are some players that could be of value in the next season or next seasons. What I'm saying is that I don't think you need to sell players and then one-on-one buy a player back. I don't think that's the way to go. I don't think you need to, if you get 150 million in, you have to spend 125 million. I don't believe in that. If you buy something that has value to the team and the gameplay you want to accomplish.
Yeah,
and I would, what I would do is just play the AC Milan tape, because that was the first game of Frank de Boer, and that's exactly what you want.
Yeah, and what Luke said, and also what you touched upon as an example with the Spurs game. I've been doing some therapy on my own sometimes. I'm watching the season of 18-19 back, also with interviews and stuff. I actually watched it like an hour ago, but it's just by coincidence. We went so far and so deep into the tournament because we had that mentality. I watched that game back against Real Madrid, and I saw the players speak about it, and it was 1-0 up in Bernabeu, 2-0 up, and Real Madrid were pressing and trying to get back into the game, and they were like, we're playing so well, we're continuing playing like this and trying to finish off the game by more goals to not let them get the hunch that they can get back into that game.
Exactly.
And exactly playing like that got us that far in that tournament.
Exactly.
So that it was not working against Spurs in really the baddest way possible. You cannot even think about it happening like that. It's very much bad luck also. But we probably wouldn't have been in that position if we didn't have that mentality also in the other fixtures that we played towards that semifinal. So it was very unlucky.
Can I add something?
quickly.
There even, if you just saw the games again, then you probably would remember the game against Spurs away, where we were 1-0 ahead and Spurs were nowhere. We
And
could have
we hit the
finished
post a few
them
times.
right there,
Yeah,
right
we hit
there
the
on
post a
their
few
pitch.
times.
We could have, and we should have finished them,
Yeah,
but we didn't because we hold back.
No. That was also unlucky because I believe Ziyech hit the post twice that game. Like big
Yeah, but
chances.
they built some security in the second half, which you saw in the game, in my opinion, where Tottenham was rijp voor de slacht, as we say in Holland. I don't know how you translate
All
it.
right.
They were ripe for the slaughter.
Yeah, ripe for the slaughter.
All right. Listen, I just want to say about the Spurs game because I have to go back to Kroes, guys, quickly.
Sorry.
Yeah. Spurs game is very easy. We played 2 games, 4 halves. We were much better 3 halves. We just gave it away in 1 half. That's basically the summary. All right. Ajax, before I go to Kroes, I want your reaction on Graham Potter because that was how we started this conversation. And also, I'm throwing in this one from Kian. He's saying, what do you guys think about Albert Stuivenberg at Arsenal? There has been somebody on Twitter or on X nowadays that mentioned that Stuivenberg was a serious candidate last season, last summer. And there are rumors again. What do you guys think of him? I will ask this to both questions to Ajax first, and then Jadirenko and Luc, you guys can react to Stuivenberg as well.
First of all, Potter. I like what I saw at Brighton, what he did there, but I think he also had a very patient board and a structure within the club that he could work with those years. If you come to a club like Ajax in the situation that you are in, you do not have that much time. It is a big club. You can see it with every big club in certain competitions. You do not have the time than you have at a club that you can build, and that you have to maintain your position in the Premier League and try to improve yourself every year. At Ajax, you usually want to compete for the title. So that luxury he probably doesn't have here. But what he did at Brighton, I did like. So I'm not very familiar with his presence in the media, that he's maybe too soft. You should be firm and be able to handle yourself. But I'm liking Porter probably more than the names of, for example, Pascal Janssen. So, yeah, not my first choice of candidate, but definitely not my last. I'm hoping actually that maybe it probably is impossible that we are able maybe to get Ten Hag back. That's maybe my first choice. But no, please not a Pascal Janssen or a Dick Schreuder or maybe an assistant of Arsenal. I want somebody that has a little bit of a track record, knows what is needed at a club, and all those assistants that are named to be the head coach, it's a different kind of job, Same with that Pepijn Leinders dude. Same with Alfred Schreuder being a great assistant, but doesn't cut it as a head coach. We should be careful with naming assistants to be head coach of our club. It isn't a internship, So I like somebody with a little bit of stature and a little bit of history already in a track record. And I'm being honest, that guy from Arsenal, I do not know much about him. What did he perform as a head coach, for example? Does anybody know?
Luc, you follow Arsenal a little bit more. Stuivenberg, what's your opinion on him?
He from watching games and things like that, he has a lot of sway with Arteta. It's always those two talking. And he's always up if sometimes when Arteta normally gets sent off or sent to the stands or whatever. Stuivenberg usually will take charge for the next game, and he's the one who's always in charge of a game that Arteta can't attend. So he does what he needs to at Arsenal, and he's obviously learning from Arteta. So are you asking for me to carry on, or are you just asking for me for Ajax to carry on?
You can say whatever you want, man.
Oh, okay. I don't know if he was leaning on to me, if that was a quick transition. For me, I was head over heels for Knudsen. That's obviously not going to happen. I now want Xavi.
Did you take away the poster you had in your room? Because I know you have a poster of Knudsen. Did you take it away now, or still?
It was right here, and now it's gone.
Oh, now it's gone.
So,
Oh, all right.
yeah, I ripped it in half, so now it's just the Bodo badge at the top of it. But the difficult thing is obviously we've had a bad experience with assistant managers coming in for their first job and things like that. But then you never know when you're going to bump into the next Arteta going to the club and doing what he did with Arsenal straight away, and learning from Pep and then making it to his own. Stuyvenberg is doing the same thing with Arteta. Eventually, he's going to want to make it his own. Would I want to take a gamble on him at this stage? No. Because I feel like Ajax said, we need someone who's has a bit about them, who's been there, done it, bought the t-shirt, can bring the t-shirt and wear it at the arena. So, I'm still hooked on having Xavi, even though it's unrealistic. I would like someone like Xavi with their ideals, wants to play good attacking football, attractive football, and knows how to win the league title. So whether it's him or not, but
you mentioned this before.
Mentality.
Yeah. You mentioned this before. Jadrenko, Stuyvenberg, and also we didn't touch upon it, but Ajax mentioned Pascal Janssen. Would Pascal Janssen be Ajax-minded for you?
No.
All right. And why is that?
Because he doesn't play the Ajax game predominantly.
All right. And Stuyvenberg?
I don't know. He has been assistant. Why should he be a head coach of Ajax? What has he proven to manage a team like that? He managed youngsters, manage arrived players, and getting a club from such a terrible position back into their unique gameplay, because you can all attack, but we all know the gameplay and the mentality of Ajax. When they do play it well and they have success, they always do it in a unique way, and they always do it in an attacking way, and they always take more risk in the gameplay than most of the others. And that's why exactly what Ajax said. That's also why Ajax got those results, because they were surprising their opponents time and time again by pressing them, by not giving them any room. I haven't seen that from those coaches, so I wouldn't.
You know what it is. Want to also give another argument for me why we should not do it at this point. I think the new coach, like I said, should have a track record, should have some experience under his belt, and he should be a constant for the team, for the club. His position should be firm with the personality of the coach, and knows what he has to do to make us progress. If you have so many things within your club that aren't going well, or need rebuilding, or need to improve, it is important that you have a strong-minded coach that knows what to do and how to get the best out of a group. I do not want an assistant coach that doesn't have a track record and maybe has some experience alongside another great coach to take over and try it as head coach for the first time, or maybe second time in certain cases. You need somebody that knows what to do and that already knows how to handle certain situations as a head coach. If you had another squad with another history at the moment, maybe if, for example, Ten Hag left after that great season in the Champions League, and you had a firm and great team at your disposal, then it would be easier to hand the job to that kind of coach, because then you have other constants within your club that are okay at that moment. But everything is not okay at the club, so the coach needs to be the starting point that we can build upon. And for me, it's too big of a risk to just give it to an assistant with no experience as a head coach, or maybe almost no experience.
I agree, but I fully agree that I prefer a coach like that. But then what do you consider Arsenal when they hired Arteta then? They was in the shambles. They were finishing 8th. They had so many egos. It was all over the place. What do you think about the risk they took of Arteta and then they paid off? Do you not think that someone that learns from Pep, Arteta was a coach, and then someone that learns from Arteta, do you not think that they could maybe come and
but that, in my opinion, it's a different thing, because the state Arsenal was in isn't as bad as Ajax. Second of all, Arteta is somebody with a lot of history at Arsenal, I believe, right? He played many matches for the club, so he knows the club in and out. He learned a lot from Guardiola And the thing is, that's a great fit also for how Arsenal want to play, because Guardiola is a Cruyff adept. So it's a different situation than just getting a Pepijn Leinders in, or the other guy of Arsenal, I forgot his name, and just bring him into your club, because the state that the club is in, and also the budget and the power that we have as a club at the moment is different compared to Arsenal. So and not only that, he also has a big track record, Arteta, within the club itself. And this is something that is also of a surplus value to the team. And those guys don't have that. For example, also Leinders that has been called, for me, if I recall correctly, he did a very bad job at NAC, the brief period he was a head coach. So
few months.
What did he do to deserve being mentioned as the Ajax head coach? Okay, he worked alongside Klopp. That's it.
Yeah,
but it sounds more like a Stein decision. He didn't outperform his previous job as well, and suddenly he was coach of Ajax.
No. According to Mislintat, he was an overperformer.
Okay, guys, guys,
an overflyer.
We're running late now. We're running late. Sorry. Kokatse is saying Ajax need to stop with vriendjespolitiek. I don't know the English word, but we got help. Of course, we help each other in the channel, and also it's called nepotism, which is
or more commonly body politics. Yeah, it's just.
I do look. The only thing I would say, in my opinion, even though I'm not the one to share opinions, but the feeling I get with the coach appointment, I do feel it's going to be somebody like Janssen. I don't think it's going to be somebody exotic like we think it's going to be, like Xavi, for instance, Luke. I don't think it's going to be somebody like that. And the reason why I think it's going to be somebody like that is because I'm linking it back to the interview of Kroes. He said we have to agree together. So mostly, probably, he will get somebody in that also shares the same vision and ideas and has short linkages with Marijn Beuker, Kelvin de Lang, Alex Kroes, that they all are on the same page. Because otherwise, if you get somebody in that's not on the same page, you'll get a lot of discussions about, is this player fit for the squad, yes or no? So I think they're going to go domestic. That's my feeling. That's what I think, to be honest. All right.
But do you consider those two mentioned before, the assistant of Liverpool and Arsenal, also domestic, because they are Dutch people, right?
Yeah, the thing I would say is that apart from domestic, I think they want to cut the risk. I think they want to cut the risk as much as possible. And whatever you say, if you get Leinders in or you get Stuivenberg in, from a distance, you don't know how things will unfold, but it's a huge risk because of what you just said, Ajax. These are assistant managers. Being the one that leads the whole squad, it's different. It's just different, So yeah, yeah. All right. Just one more thing for Jadarenko. Would you be opposed to? I know probably it's not going to happen, but would you be opposed to having Vos eventually becoming Ajax coach? Not now, but eventually.
No, why would I be opposed?
Just asking for your opinion.
No, I wouldn't be opposed, but I would first like to see Vos perform in his own way with young Ajax, because at the moment I get the feeling that there are a lot of puppeteers handling players and how they need to play or need to play in different positions just to get them growing. But I think that's the wrong way. I think you need Vos to make a team and to let Vos get acquainted with his own tactics and his own way of playing the Ajax game. And then if that's good, then sure, why not? I don't care about that. But it has to be, in my opinion, they have to be playing with an intention to play the Ajax game. You cannot always do that. It won't always happen the way you want, because you also have an opponent that does something. But the intention should always be there.
All right, clear.
Briefly, Juan, briefly, I want to touch upon this subject briefly. What I do want to see changed within our club is the way we handle future prospects of head coaches. the way it went with Reiziger, Heitinga, and also maybe Vos for the future, do not throw them in front of the group as an interim coach and then just dispose of them after they have to like scoop all the poop, all the poo away.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
this is something that's really bad because Heitinga could have been a future head coach. He had a different planning for himself. Maybe the same with Maduro, the same with Vos, the same with Reiziger, who actually, if I remember correctly, won the second league with Ajax, right? It was Reiziger, right?
Reiziger and Bogarde, yeah, correct.
So the way we
where's
handled
Bogarde?
with Bogarde, right? The way we handled those coaches, they could have been of a great value for us if they had the right road for them, not just throw them in front of the group and then dispose of them. That should change within the
burning their career. Yeah, burning their career a little bit.
Yeah.
I got a name for you, Juan.
Tell me.
I wouldn't mind Bogarde
as
head coach.
No. Why? On what basis?
Because if someone is Ajax and if someone knows how to handle people, it's got to be Bogarde. And I'm not going to expect him to be the very best of coaches. But I would rather have him as Leinders as a coach, for instance.
All right. But then it comes, okay, that's your opinion, of course. But then it comes back to what Ajax said. He has no track record of being a head coach before.
No, sure. But he has a track record of being at Ajax and knowing Ajax.
Yeah, but Alfred Schreuder had that also.
Exactly.
This was
sure. But there are no guarantees. We all remember the first games of Louis van Gaal back in the early 90s. We all know the season right before they won the Champions League. They were outclassed by Parma in Italy, and they hadn't any right to be on the European level. And next year, they win it with Van Gaal. So you never, ever know.
Didn't they? Maybe I recall not correctly. I was maybe 8 or 9. But didn't they have a deep run in the second Europa Cup before we won the Champions League?
They won it.
They won it, right? So it's a year before that. It's a year before that you mentioned, right?
At the first year of Van Gaal, they won it.
Yeah.
And at the that was 91, 92, and in 94. They had a really terrible beating against Parma, which was only, I believe, 2-0. But they were outplayed massively, and everybody said they can never win a European Cup again. And the year after that, they won it. So you never know how it goes.
Right. I have to continue now. All right?
Yep.
I know it's very nice to talk about these things, but I have to continue. I wanted to touch upon all this comment from Remy. He said, all great coaches' first great performances was also at Ajax. Probably will have to get someone who will grow with Ajax, like back with Louis van Gaal and Erik ten Hag. So on the other side of what we're saying about assistants should have a track record, you cannot exclude the fact that maybe it will be a home run if they become a coach of Ajax. It's something we cannot predict beforehand. One more thing I want to say about Kroes, and then we'll end this chapter. He got a question about the technical director, or the new position that they have, the one that will be much more involved in the transfers. And he said he will take the responsibility this summer. There will be nobody probably appointed in the short run. Eventually, they will have somebody. How do you feel about that? Luc, let me go with you first. That he will do it now together with Marijn Beuker and Kelvin de Lang, and also discussing beforehand with Danny Blind and Van Gaal, etc., but not having somebody specifically appointed for that position.
We've all seen what happens when someone tries to take all the jobs and make it their own and try to do everything themselves. So it's a bit like, do we not learn from past mistakes? But at the same time, if he's got advice around him and he's discussing it actively, I don't see why it will be that much of a difference than actually having someone do it, who will then end up having that discussion with those people anyway. So, as long as we solve some balancing problems and there's progression showing that we're actually trying to fix these holes in our boat, then I see no problem with it. As long as he's not trying to do everything himself, make all decisions themselves, and doing all that things, I have no issue.
Yeah. Jadrenko?
To be honest, I would start talks with Jonk and with what's his name, Julian Ward, to see if there's an option to do that. This is one thing I actually don't understand, that he's already focusing on this transfer window, whilst maybe you could get a TD in the meantime.
Let me ask you a question. I know we're spitballing a little bit here, but Kelvin de Lang has been taken over, since Mislintat left. You're saying Jonk. Wouldn't Jonk be much more suited to maybe take over from Kelvin de Lang's position, becoming head of scouting?
Could be, but one thing of Jonk, that if he is the TD, you will know that the buys you get are additions because we don't have it in youth. And then maybe you're going to buy a little bit more right now because the youth is not is quite thin. I agree with Ajax on that. It's a bit too thin to rebuild your team around the youth. But you actually know that you will get the right intention with Jonk.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't make him head of the scouts. I would try to get him as a TD or Julian Ward, because there was interest in him. He seems to have a good vision.
I'm not too fond of the foreign people taking that role at the moment. But can you guys help me out? Because maybe I do not recall it correctly, but what was the role of Kroes within AZ? It wasn't the role that he's now doing at Ajax. Wasn't he also a little bit more responsible somewhere in the area of what he's taking over now, that extra role? Does anybody know what he did at AZ, what his function was? Because it wasn't a general director.
Football development or something, but it wasn't. Look, he's now officially, he took over from Van der Sar, right?
Yeah, but that's a different. The reason I'm asking is Van der Sar is was a general director that grew in that role and hadn't any experience as a technical director. So what I'm trying to find out is, what did Kroes do at AZ, and maybe is there a little bit of an overlap at what he did there and what he's taking on his plate now at Ajax, additionally to the general director role? Because if that's the case, he has more experience in that area than Van der Sar has, for example. So that's the thing that I want to know.
I think the strength of Alex Kroes lies not so much in the football and the technical aspect of football. I think that's why he was relying so much during the interview and saying openly that Marijn Beuker started with the list, and he's been talking with Marijn Beuker and Kelvin de Lang. He's been pointing very clearly that he's been in talks together, and he will be, of course, fed with information and advice from those people, because they are the ones that have the mind, the football mind, in my opinion. But at the end, with all the information that he gets in front of him, he will take the decision, the end decision. So that's how I understood the whole thing. I'm not saying he's totally blank on football things, but I think he's much better at running an organization, how to make it the football club become Ajax again. That's what he's going to do. But
structure.
The structure.
He was like, I think he was the director of international football strategy at AZ.
Exactly. So it's nothing like what he's doing right now.
Okay, cool.
Remy is saying Kroes was in the board of directors at AZ. Yeah, much more organizational minded, in my opinion. Guess who's joined the chat? I see Roy Nimbus. Always good to have you. I could explain why there isn't a technical director coming in, but then again, nah. All right. So he's not going to share it with us today. Good evening, lads. Good evening to you as well, Roy. If you change your mind, let us know. I will pull it up. Guys, okay, we finished the Kroes thing. There was another interview this week. A much shorter one, but I just felt we have to touch upon it. Actually, we were talking about signings. They weren't that good. Ajax, you mentioned this a couple of times today. One of the signings that has been really struggling is Guy. and he's been subbed twice in the first half this season. One time with against Feyenoord, that was with Schroeder, and not too long ago when we played AZ, he was also subbed in the first half by Schip. So we saw an interview in which he looked back basically on those two moments, and he was talking about how it made him feel, and he also said like, he needs to get his confidence back. I just want your quick reactions on that interview. Luc, let me start with you first. What was your initial thought when you saw that interview?
I do feel for him. He's quite young. He's come all the way from Norway as well. But I don't understand these interviews where they sit down and they bring attention to these issues. Right? When you play football, you're having a bad time. Sure, you naturally have to get your head down and work hard and get your confidence back. Okay, but if he didn't have this interview, no one would have remembered that he got subbed. Really, no one would have thought of it just out of nowhere. Unless you thought, oh, do you remember when? If you're talking about Guy and you think, oh, do you remember when he got subbed in the 37th minute? That's fine, but you don't walk down the road and think, oh wait, Guy got subbed at the 37th minute. So bringing attention to it is doing good, but also causing problems where people are thinking about it again and talking about it again, but also people are sympathizing with him. And I don't know if this is a thing where, they've done it on purpose so he gets everyone feeling sorry for him and things like that. But personally, he just needs to get his head down and work on weaknesses in his game to be able to become a better player, or, maybe go back to doing basics in order to then build on that, rather than sit down doing interviews and making people, having a sub story. Like I like the guy. I always wanted him. There's a live talk of me saying that he'll be a good signing, and I've been proven completely wrong so far, right? But he seems like a nice guy and always does try very, very hard. He always tries to put a work in, it may not even come across very well, but he always tries. He always got a good attitude as well to the pitch, And I just feel like instead of having an interview like this time could be spent on the training pitch, becoming better, right? So for me, there was no need for the interview, but okay, it's nice to get to know the real guy to an extent, I guess.
Yeah. Tonio, thank you for correcting me. I meant Stein, of course. Sub him, not Schroeder. I don't know what Schroeder is in my mind right now, but thank you for that. Ajax, the interview with Guy. Quick reaction.
Yeah, and if we are on the topic of correcting, I believe he's from Denmark, right? Not Norway, but maybe I'm wrong.
No, he played for Viborg in Norway.
Oh, it was in Norway?
I meant the club.
From
Viborg,
the club.
right?
No, I thought you were. He's Norwegian. I thought he was Danish, but okay, then we're on the same page.
No.
Yeah,
Viborg isn't
Denmark, right?
Right?
Yeah,
it
doesn't
Norway?
Matter.
I can't remember.
I do think that the interview is maybe not necessary at this point. I agree with Luc. I do have this gut feeling with Guy. He's not of Ajax material that we need this season, but I think there's some stretch within his ability, especially his mentality. The things that I did see from him on the pitch, I can see some assets for the team in certain areas. I'm not saying he's there yet, but I haven't written him off totally. Although what he showed wasn't that great this season. Although the majority of the team wasn't great, but he's young. And maybe he can improve with the right guidance and with better teammates around him. So I haven't written him off quite yet, but it hasn't been peachy from his side. And the interview was maybe too much for him in this period of his career, because he's not waiting, I believe, to do these kind of interviews if you're already struggling with a lot of things. It's like,
do you think he was the one
spotlight on him?
Yeah, but do you think he was the one that wanted to do the interview? I don't think so.
I don't know, but I think the club should. I do not know if he wants to do it. I do not think so. I think the club decides those things. But I think as a club, you have to do better, because it does more harm than it helps him, I think. Because it's an extra spotlight on your situation, and it's better for him to have his full focus on getting better and trying to get out of this slump.
Yeah. Just quickly, I just looked up Viborg. It's also in Denmark. Just to
right.
Sorry, long day.
You should put the poster of Knutse back. You're missing Norway already. So
apparently they're both the same standard anyway.
Chris is saying it doesn't matter, Juan. They both sucked as a trainer, as a coach. Stein and Schroeder. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, if you should make a poll. Who's worse, Schreuder or Stein?
Roy is saying Guy situation is
What's that?
to be honest. I think they should just keep quiet and give the guy a transfer or loan this summer. Actually, very interesting. There were some people commenting also after we posted on X the interview of Guy. Somebody said, which is actually a good point, why didn't Guy, if you see he's struggling and he needs to learn the Ajax system and how to play Ajax style, why doesn't he play more at young Ajax? Jadranko, do you have an idea about this?
Why on earth do you want to buy a player to bring on young Ajax if he's what's his age? 20, 21?
First of all, he's eligible to play for young Ajax. Second of all,
I don't care about that. I don't care about that.
Hold on, the young Ajax also serves for players to get acquainted with the system, especially when you get them from abroad and they're young.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's for me that's a bit too old. If he's 20, 21, then you should already know if you're becoming an Ajax player or not, and if you're fitting in that system. And it's not that hard if you train on it day by day. It's not that hard for most of the players to progress in that. But if you don't train it on the training ground, it doesn't really matter. And you can play it on your Ajax, but they don't play really pressing football as well. They don't play the real Ajax game as well. And they have constant formation changes, which is not very, very nice for a player to play in, because all kind of insecurities occur, and it's not gelling.
I must say, Juan, and maybe it's an unpopular opinion, I think that a lot of people are way too harsh on Guy, maybe including myself, because if you compare him, for example, with Gooijer, I'm not too fond of Gooijer on that right side and what he showed, and he is like a youth product, and it looks like then when you come from the academy, you have more credits, you know? People tend to not be so
Don't
harsh
agree.
on you. So I've seen things from Gooijer that were awful also on that right side.
But Ajax, look at Marta. How was Marta treated?
Yeah, by Van Schip. I do not agree. I do not agree with that, because we should stop at that. I touched upon this earlier in another stream. We should stop trying to transform all players into side backs or full backs or whatever.
Exactly.
It's devastating for his career. You know, he's been a left winger, and all of a sudden he's now being judged
right
in
winger?
a transitional year as a winger at least, judged as a left wing back. What does this guy have to do? Like be the best wing back all overnight, you know, and then be one of the carrying players in that position? That's weird, man. But with Guy compared to Gooijer, we should give him a little bit more slack. Gooijer was not peachy at all at that position. At least Guy brings more offensive intensity and not only pass the ball back. And Gooijer has years to train in this formation and in the Ajax Youth Academy, which Guy doesn't have. So
yeah, but Gooijer was never the prodigy that predecessors were.
It doesn't matter.
He only came into the team because they bought bad,
Yeah,
and they bought bad, and they bought bad.
Still, it doesn't matter. He's been training at our academy, and he has been our right back at a lot of matches this season. And he hasn't been treated as harsh as this signing has been. And this guy's only 20 years old.
He didn't cost millions. So
Yeah, but guys, listen.
That's logical.
Yeah, I'm listening to you guys. The only thing I don't agree with, there's a difference in terms of technical capabilities between Gooijer and Guy, which is day and night for me, especially on the ball. That's the problem with Guy for me, and that's why I think it would have been a good idea to play him at young Ajax. At least he gets into the position that he helps with the build-up. Because now the reason why Guy is playing, we don't want Guy to be in the build-up, because once he gets the ball in our own half, it becomes a problem.
Yeah,
but you don't want a back player doing the build-up, preferably.
Yeah,
you want your center backs.
But let's be honest, Gooijer fucked up many times. Also, sorry for my French.
Recently,
traveling with the ball towards the center of the area, then gets overrun by other players, and it's almost a counter one-on-one on the keeper.
Yeah.
So he's been awful in that area also. And what Guy at least tries to do, I'm not saying his passing, is being on the offense an asset for us. He tries it, he runs hard, he does the overlap. Only thing what I saw Gooijer do is passing the ball back from that wing position.
But it's a bit the same with Sosa on the other side. Their qualities is not purely in defending of both those players. You know that.
Yeah.
And what you're going to do, you're going to build 5 defenders because they're not good at the back. But you should go in front around it and use their qualities, which they have. But their qualities are not purely on the defensive side. They're just not.
All right. Remy is saying, which is a good point. I totally agree with this. In recent years, much of our passing also came from Masraoui and Blind. On the back position, full back positions, we're missing that now. Clearly, that's an issue. Talking about wing back positions, briefly touching upon the Sparta game, there were some interesting things that happened. Sosa was sick. So Van het Schip came with the idea of playing Taylor or starting Taylor as a left wing back. Did you guys, before the game, not after the game because that's easy, but before the game, did you guys think like, okay, this might be a good idea? This might be a good solution, Luke?
No.
Why not?
It's the same thing that Ajax was saying. Trying to make people go and play in certain positions when they spent all these years playing in positions like Taylor's been a 10 or he's been an 8. Even playing as 6 didn't work for Taylor. So how's playing as a left wing back going to work for Taylor? And he's obviously been put there as a sign of desperation at the time, which, okay, you can kind of see why he did it, but only because he can work hard. He works hard. That's literally it. So and Taylor being Taylor will do anything for the club, so he automatically would do it. And you have to give credit to him, but it was a silly thing to do, right? So
yeah. Ajax, I want to ask you your opinion. We also saw, now we're seeing Van der Boma coming back from an injury, and I know it's still too early to judge, but still I want your opinion. We've seen him on the midfield. We've seen him come in a couple of times. How do you feel about him playing in the system that we're playing on the midfield?
Didn't like what I see last match of him. I didn't see the decisive passing as much as I do see it from him when he's coming from the bench. Maybe it's his partnering up with Manswerk, and also the running ability of Van der Boma covering ground. It isn't the easy task for him if I have to judge him the way I see him on the pitch. Also considering the Taylor situation on the back position. It really, really baffled me that Van Schip in the position that we are in with the injuries and stuff didn't choose for the 4-3-3 system, because he rather shifts around players to keep carrying out this horrible formation. I keep saying it, 5 in the back. It's not Ajax worthy. Then going for a logical solution, even with Gods back in the game, and also with Bergwijn back in the game, so you have at least for 90 minutes you have a winger at your disposal.
Yeah.
Why not go for the 4-3-3 situation, more attacking? It doesn't make sense.
Just a question to you right now. 4-3-3, who would you play right now?
Right now, it's difficult because I do not know the current state after the international break. I do not know who are back and who aren't.
No, okay.
But I would go for at least the front 3. I would go for, in this situation, either Akpom, because he had a very good half last time that he came in.
Yeah,
or
let's say
the new guy.
Brobbey's not back.
Yeah, Brobbey's not back. What's the new guy's name again? I forgot.
Rykov.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And I would go for the winger situation. I would opt for Gods from the right and Bergwijn from the left, and then build a midfield of 3. And then go just with Kaplan and Hato. I don't care if they're both lefties. Really don't care at this point.
Okay, and who
go
will
for Rens? Go for Wrench on the right back position. Play Sosa on the left back position, and go with Ramai in the goal. And I do not care about lefties both in the center, because it hasn't been peachy all year. Also with more defenders in the back, I have faith that Hato and Kaplan are our best 2 central defenders at the moment. I do not want to see Sutalo there.
Yeah, the only problem is that Kaplan is suspended, but I understand what you mean. It's all
And
good.
I would probably, although I love his work ethics, I would probably bench Linson for Gods on that right side position, and I would play as with Manswerk and Henderson as controlling midfielders, and then as an attacking midfielder, somebody who has probably Taylor, because he's been better for a few matches until he got turned into another position again. Probably Taylor as an attacking midfielder.
All right. Quick comment on this. Kaplan has been awful though. Cost us 3 goals in 3 games. So I don't know.
Yep.
On the other end. But still, you would prefer him.
I
with
would
Hato.
definitely choose him because he is much better player in certain assets of the game than Soutalo is at the moment, and he has more confidence.
Yeah. And Murder Inc. is also saying Berghuis will probably be back next week.
Yeah, maybe, but I don't know. I do not know if he's match fit. But Bergwijn has played some good matches also on the midfield in a more attacking role. So let them fight it out. At least go back to wingers and play attacking kind of football. But the most important thing is also what Jadranko already said, and I touched upon a few weeks ago. The intensity has to be there. They have to work as a unit. They have to press as a unit. Those are the most important things in any formation.
Yeah. Quick question. Brobbey, according to Koeman, will be out for several weeks. So maybe we'll miss him 1, 2, maybe 3 games. Who would you prefer on the striker position, Akpom or Rijkhoff?
I would probably opt for Rijkhoff because he knows more about the way Ajax plays also in the academy. And I think Akpom has been more of an asset for us from the bench as a pinch hitter when we need him and make a difference there. So we know at least that Akpom can be the difference maker for us if he comes from the bench. And the times that he started as a striker or from the beginning weren't his best matches, also with the XGs and assists and goals. Most of his goals came when he went in from the bench. Yeah. So probably I would opt for Rijkhoff as a starter, and if necessary, bring in Akpom to break it open if it doesn't work. That's probably Luke, what I choose for.
Yeah, Luke, do you agree with this? Would you start Rijkhoff?
Yeah.
Yeah? All right. Jadranko, you too?
It really depends what you want to do and what you're which formation and which intention you're gonna bring on the pitch. If you want the real Ajax game combining through the middle, then I would choose for Rijkhoff for sure. But if you're gonna give how do you say it, passes from the side.
Yeah,
then I would choose Akpom because he's really good in the air.
Yeah.
And also, if you put Akpom there in the center, you have to bring those ball in the air because that's where he excels.
Yeah,
that's a good point. I do not know how the heading ability of Rijkhoff is, but Akpom definitely is a fox in the box and also a great heading ability. Also, if you look back at all the goals he made at what was this team that he was at, Middlesbrough?
Who?
What was his former team, Middlesbrough?
Yeah.
Most of his, I believe, 90% of the goals that he make, or even more, is inside the box. So as a target man, it's better.
Okay, guys. Quickly, comments. BRN is saying this one especially for you, Jadranko, because you like these translations. We have to roll with the belts we have, I guess. So
belts.
A lot of people are saying Rijkhoff, so they agree with you. And also BRN is saying Rijkhoff since he's way more technical. And Brian is saying start with Rijkhoff and Akpom as a pinch hitter, so also agree. FC Lawrence also 100% start with Rijkhoff. I agree with Ajax. Akpom is good for us as an impact sub. Super sub, I hear. Quickly on this one, Jadranko, when are we going to give Fayzed a chance on the midfield?
Never.
All right. Is that because you don't think Schip and the technical staff is going to do that, or because you feel like he doesn't have what it takes to play there compared to the other?
I've previously been quite clear on Fayzed. I think he's a nice talent, but I don't think he has the Ajax level. And I really don't understand why you bring back a player from a team on which you loaned him to, getting him out of his running, and then not use him. I think it's absolutely abominable. I don't know how you say it in English.
Yeah.
Abomination.
I don't like it at all. Just treat your youth as gems, like in the marketing. So if they're not,
Oh, we're heading into marketing bits now, man.
if they're not gonna deliver on their promise, just give them a chance on another club. Make a decision, but don't keep them getting back and don't give them minutes. I don't like that.
Yeah, sorry. Tonio has been asking this 3 times already. What about Andries Jonkers as a coach? Okay, Tony, before we answer this quickly, I will leave it up till the end. Can you explain why you want us to talk about Andries Jonkers?
Because Bakker is going away from the
it's
women.
clear, right? The female head coach is being sacked,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah, exactly.
They need
Bakker
they
is
need a
going
coach.
away. Ideal. Ideal
you
for
mean-
Ajax women.
You mean for the women's team? Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Lovely.
Okay. Guys, also I wanted to ask you, I know still we have a couple of games to go, and I was also thinking about, look, we know in what position we were when Van der Schip took over, and we've seen him perform a couple of months already with a squad which is, as we know, not balanced. We know that. It's not easy. We know that as well. How do you feel he has done so far, and what would you rate him at this moment? Luke, let me give it to you first.
He came in when we needed someone to really steady the ship, and he took us from 18th, and then we managed to be within reason at the time prior to the last few games within touches distance with 4th place. So, you know, he did what he needed to do, but it was never going to be the long-term thing for us. And I think it was quite obvious the way there's no clear identity whenever he puts a team out. You know, it's kind of like last week we were trying to guess what the formation was. It should never be like that, right? So, but he got us out of the hole we were in at the time, and he helped us get up some steps, and then hopefully when he goes, we'll get another coach to come in and progress us even more. If I had to rate him, I don't know if it's generous or not. I'd have to give it
Probably yes.
a 6.
Okay.
A 6.
Yes.
Just because I think with the work he did to get us at the start where we was after starting to a point where we were still challenging for European places, I think is good enough. But is obviously we're still lacking a lot of things, and he could have done better in a lot more things. So I think 6 justifies it, to be honest. Could have been 5, but
yeah. So 6, right? You said 6.
6 is yeah.
Lorenko, you?
I actually don't like Van Schip. I love that he took on the responsibility in a hard time for him personally. I absolutely love that, and I value him for that. But I totally don't like starting with 5 defenders against Fortuna at home. Stuff like that. What on earth are you doing? He's going with 5 defenders into the Sparta game, and then he has Gods in the team, and then he switches formation constantly in the first half. What the hell are you doing? You're in a really bad strike, and then you're going to shift tactics like that. That doesn't work. So
without sounding
on a tactical level, he's a 2 for me. On a Ajax level, he's a 7 or an 8 because he did take the responsibility. He tried to help us out in a really tough spot, and he started pretty okay. It was pretty okay, but now it's an avalanche. It's so
crashing.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Sorry?
It's crashing down a little bit.
And it's almost even worse as under Stein, and that's deep in my opinion.
That's way deep. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, low deep.
Yeah, way low. Yeah, exactly. Listen, talking about, look, without sounding too
I don't want to be disrespectful because I value all coaches and I always try to understand what they're trying to do. But for me, one thing, I mean, we talked about Taylor on the left wing position, but playing Winston on the right wing position a couple of times, that was crazy to me and still is, in my opinion. But I just wanted to throw that out quickly because you just triggered me with that.
Yeah, but he will do it again.
Probably. So what was the end rating? Because I didn't catch that.
Yeah, 3.
You went from 2 to 8 to 3?
Yeah, but the crash is devastating. I'm sorry to say, but to see 5 defenders, to see to have Henderson have the captain banned, I don't know how you say it.
Yeah.
And then bring in Bergman and give him the band. And I
No,
don't know
but
if
listen, he's the first captain. Come on, man.
afterwards.
No, but Jadranko, he's the first captain. Come on.
Yeah,
Come on.
he's a captain like, oh yeah, well, yeah, okay, yeah, maybe not, yeah, maybe yes, yeah, I don't know, it doesn't really matter.
No, but listen, he was already
Are
made
you having an
captain.
attack?
He was already made captain. Van het Schip didn't change that. So according to the protocol, Bergwijn gets the armband. It's the way it is.
I
Okay,
think it's
I
just
understand.
terrible management.
Let me give you my
decision.
verdict now.
Okay,
Sorry?
Ajax, go ahead.
He was at a 7 for me because he brought us from the 18th place to the 5th place. You know, I'm not taking into consideration personal situations because that's a softening argument towards his being as a manager. You know. But for me, at the moment, he's at a 2 or a 3, and that's because we're in decline. It doesn't look that he has any clue what he's doing. It doesn't look that he has like the power over the group that he steers towards a certain course. So for me, transitioning to 5-man defense against opponents like Jadranko said, it's not Ajax worthy. It doesn't matter that he is an Ajax figure, but the improvement from the day that he was appointed as coach up and towards now, I cannot see what he instilled in this group. The thing that he wants out of this group, I cannot see his hand. You understand what I'm saying? So each match that he keeps continuing playing this weird formation, not the Ajax style, that number is decreasing every week because I do not like it. And that's all apart from being at the 5th place.
What happened according to you guys? I mean, we played PSV 1-1. We played a decent game, right? For our standards this season. Why did we go wrong from that point onwards? What happened?
Coaching decisions.
Yeah. Tactical incapabilities.
And also, isn't there anybody within the staff that brings something to the table? What is this Volcanis doing? He's maybe even worse than that iPad guy that was before him.
But the problem is that Schip only seems to listen to Volcanis, who couldn't even beat amateurs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
in all
guys.
fairness, it was a superhero we were against, Hercules.
Yeah. Remy is saying, I think Van het Schip also has been dealt a bad hand. He's definitely can do better with better players, like we had even last year. Look,
but
I said
also,
look,
if you look,
just one moment.
Yeah.
I just want to say to this, Remy, I already said we know about the situation. We know that he had to step in with the players he had, no balance. So totally agree with that.
But
Just
the Aston Villa game, the first game was fine.
Yeah, it was.
So what bad hand are you talking about? Because it are exactly the same players.
Yeah, Murder Inc. actually answering my question. After the PSV game, Bergwijn got injured, so we switched eventually to 5-3-2, 5-4-1, exactly. So that's true. And also Remy is adding to that, I fear the players we have are tactically not as intelligent as we'd hope. I don't know if I agree with that.
Great coaches at our club traditionally had great mentalities. If you look at Van Gaal, if you look at an Erik ten Hag, even a Frank de Boer not being able to play the football that we want to see, but at least his mentality and the way he acts upon, being in front of a group. You have a certain character there. I'm missing that with Sean. He looks just like a nice guy, and you have to be harsh and being able to put it to your hands the way you want to play with a group. And I'm missing that, what he wants to instill.
But to be honest, he had that exact same flaw when he played at Ajax. He had a good crossing, but he was never the Ajax player that others were. He never had the personality that some of the other players did have.
All right.
It's a shame, but again, I wouldn't give him any technical job in the next season.
That's a tough one. We'll see.
No,
we'll
it's
see
easy. Don't give him that job. Very easy.
But he's been promised a job. That's the thing.
Yeah, but it's something that's in the future.
But he doesn't, like Ajax said, he has no clue.
Okay, so in the world of football, it doesn't matter if you promise somebody something in the future, you can just retract it just as quickly. Basically, that's what we're saying.
I think I was promised a lot also.
No, you should make.
No, wait a minute. No, wait. Heitinga wasn't promised anything.
Prior to him becoming interim, they had a whole path for him that they wanted him to go through, and himself also.
That's not true.
Right.
No. They were supposed to talk at the end of the season what will happen. That's different. I thought
there were rumors. I thought there were rumors during that season that we heard in the media that there already was something set towards him for the end of the season.
Okay, I'm not aware of that.
Juan, Ajax is right. Before he became a manager, he was the prince of Ajax to take over at some point as a head coach, not being an interim, but a head coach. That plan was there. There were no promises when he did become an interim, but there was the path to make him the next big coach for Ajax.
Eventually. All right. I want to finish off with one last thing. I don't know if you guys had a chance to watch the transfer valuations of certain players. This was conducted by, I don't know how you pronounce it, CIES Observatory, Football Observatory in Nice, Switzerland. In Switzerland, I guess. Anyways, they looked at at different players in Europe, also in the Netherlands, and also at Ajax. So I'm just going to stick to Ajax for now. The top 3 most valuable players in terms of transfers, and this includes also, everything. So if you have like clauses, or if you sell somebody for 50 million and you get like on top of that 5% or something like that. So they made a full calculation, and I think number 1 was who was number 1 again? Hato was number 1 with 78 million, and then number 2 was Brobbey, 70 million, and then we had Taylor, 66 million, and I think
about right.
31 million, and I'm forgetting one more Ajax player. But anyways, just for your quick.
Dalo.
Sorry?
Dalo, I believe, 31.
Yeah, I said Sutalo, 31.
Okay.
But there was another player. There were 5 players in the top 10. Who was Bergwijn. Yeah, it was 40.
Hey, I have to switch from broadband to Wi-Fi because I have to plug in the juice for the laptop. Otherwise, I'm gone. So if I'm glitching, you know what's happening,
Cool. Luke, let me ask you, those valuations, again, it's a total valuation. What's their worth right now if we would sell them? What do you feel about that? Hato 78, Brobbey 70, Taylor 66. More or less okay?
If someone bids for those players and that's what we got for the players, is that what you're saying?
Is that realistic? That's my question right now.
Are they realistic? Hato, yeah, I think. I think Brobbey, no, I think that's 10 million too high for currently. Like, if he were to build on this, I think you could get more. I think this is the first season where he's able to consistently show that he can last 90 minutes. He's important, really, really important to us. If we were to get 50 million for Taylor, I think we're laughing, regardless of 66 million. That's way too high. Sutalo, yeah, the only ones that I'd look at that are realistic would be Hato, and then Brobbey. Then it would be a little bit less. 60. I think would be a really, really good price.
Yeah.
So, but Hato's the only realistic one for me. The rest of them are ridiculous.
Red Butler is saying, "Listen, I'm here to listen to all talk about this," and BRN is saying, "Look, Taylor 66 million is criminally undervalued."
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. 150 million at least.
150 million at least. Yadorenko, just your quick thoughts on the valuations.
Why should I give my thoughts? It's absolute.
Because I'm asking you.
It's an absolute joke. It doesn't make. They must have had a blast making that valuation, because it's like they were playing FIFA Manager and then say, oh, like that player is valued like this. It's
but
absolutely.
to be very honest with you, these are researchers that do this. It's not like just out of.
Yeah, they should go into another career. They're absolutely, but it's insane. It's absolutely insane.
Okay, so you don't agree with the valuations whatsoever?
No.
All right. Ajax?
Yeah, I can understand it. I'm not saying the amount that is mentioned with each player, but you have to take into consideration also what has been sold by clubs in the past years. It doesn't have to do only with the current squad and the current situation. Ajax traditionally, especially last years, created a new standard for Dutch clubs. We sold for a lot of money, and you could see that also at other clubs, it's sparking off to them. They are selling their players for a higher amount also. Yeah. But players from Ajax also traditionally in the last years are just worth more than the other clubs in the competition. The gap is getting smaller, but it's still there. So the top players, the top prospects from our club is always at a higher value currently than at other clubs.
Yeah.
And that's just the way it is. So I'm not saying that Kenneth Taylor is worth 66 million or Brian Brobbey is worth 70, but I can understand that they are valued higher than the other players on the list from other clubs.
All right. Quickly, just the comments about this. Papimento is saying, I love the valuations because it pissed off. He's probably referring to PSV and Feyenoord fans. Yeah, that's true. I saw a lot of PSV and Feyenoord fans reacting to that. That's true. BRN is also saying it gave us plenty of bait to fish with. Yeah, I saw that too. Red Butler is saying, Yadorenko, surely Hato is quite valuable, yes? He has been linked to Arsenal.
Yes, but not almost 80 million. Come on. And I can totally understand what Ajax says, but if you were looking at players at Ajax, you would normally send out a scout to watch him.
Mm-hmm.
Then you cannot agree with these evaluation based on what they're currently showing. And Hato is a promise. He is very young, but 18 million, come on. It's too much for me, in my opinion.
Okay, maybe it's a little bit too much, but I can understand why he's the highest on that list.
Yeah, I can imagine that as well.
He's the most promising prospect in the competition at the moment, and he's been pretty decent for us in the majority of the games that we played for such a young kid, 17 years old.
But I'm not
I think there's a lot of talent there, and if you look at the amounts that have been paid for our highest prospects during the years, the best players, I can understand him being valued that way. And also now with a long-term contract again, those things also have something to do with the valuation. If a player is on a 1-year contract or a 2-year contract, that makes it different also. Look at Gravenberg, for example. We could have gotten way more than we got from him, but he was in his last year. So those things are also should be taken into consideration. Not only the talent, also the contract situation.
But still, almost 80 million, I think it's overvalued. And I think all the players were overvalued in this valuation.
Yeah. All right. Remy is saying Ajax is a tier 1 brand. The others just aren't. All right. It's true.
It
And
is.
then he's also saying, besides that, the valuations are ridiculous. Yeah. And Gerard is saying Brobbey is better than Hato. Different positions, but also Brobbey is a little bit
Apples and
older.
oranges. Apples and oranges.
Yeah, because Brobbey is older as well as Hato. I mean,
But
that's-
you might just be surprised by Van Schip. Maybe he will play him as a left back, Brobbey, and in the future, then you can compare them a little bit more.
and Hato is a striker, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Love to see
yeah,
that.
yeah, who knows? We'll see. Here, last comment. I promise. BRN is saying, if someone decides to sign Hato, they've got a potential world-class defender that's only
Yeah.
18. That's true.
And you have to take things into consideration also, because a great young defender is much much more rare than somebody in the midfield or at the wing position or as a striker.
But
There are a
guys,
lot
be
more
realistic.
favors there.
But be realistic. Endrick has been bought by Real Madrid for 45 million euros, which is one of the biggest prodigies of Brazil of the last decade. 45 million. He's 18.
But Matthijs de
He's
Ligt,
18.
Matthijs de Ligt, Timber has been bought for a lot of money, both from our club. Young, exciting prospects.
After
So it's a different
semi-final
market. It's a
Champions
different
League.
different market.
Yeah, but after semi-final Champions League, not after being 18th in the
No,
Eredivisie.
sorry, which semi-final Champions League did Timber play? He went for quite some money, also, right? What was it, 50 million or
No,
something?
but we played.
Robert de Ligt.
No, but we did play against Benfica in the next round of the Champions League. So we
Mm.
did qualify from the stages. Timber was one of the defenders that was also responsible for us winning 100% of the score in the group. So there is something to say about that, to be
True.
honest.
Yeah.
All right. Guys, thank you so much, everyone, for joining, tuning in. I know Ajax is probably not really a hot topic at the moment because of the international break, but we will continue to do the live stream next week as well on Thursday. I don't know who is interested in watching the Dutch team tomorrow, but if you do, let's hope for a good game. Otherwise, I'll see you guys next week. Ajax, thank you. Luke as well. Jadrenko, always a pleasure. Take care, guys. Bye.
Take care.
Bye.